Welcome to The Growth Show with me as your host, Joe Camerato. I am an entrepreneur who created my company, National Business Capital, from literally $0 out of my spare bedroom to over $2 billion in business loans secured for entrepreneurs nationwide. Since 2007, I have seen just about every type of business. I provide money and help entrepreneurs access capital to scale fast, but I also know that it's possible for you as you scale to replace yourself, to build systems, processes, and great teams of people that can live on without you so you can actually enjoy your life and your company can still grow. I will not only tell you the peaks and valleys of my story, but I will also bring on world-class entrepreneurs to tell their stories and share their lessons on their growth journeys. Welcome to The Growth Show. All right. Welcome to The Growth Show with me as your host, Joe Camerato. And I've got a really cool guest on today, Tim Jack. Some cool stuff about Tim. Tim is a serial entrepreneur, investor, and Emmy-winning filmmaker and producer. And on the sidebar, a comedian, fruit farmer, surfer, and guitar player. All good stuff. He's a current founder and CEO of Rise, an automated marketing platform, which I'm excited to talk about. JACKTV, an award-winning production company. The agent and e-commerce brand Accelerator. In 2022, Jack received an Emmy Award for his first feature film, Enormous, The George Story. And he's been featured in Rolling Stone, Forbes, Huffington Post, the New York Times, the Seattle Times, and more for his work in marketing and filmmaking. Welcome to the show. Thanks for being on, Tim.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for making me sound good, Joe. Appreciate that.
Thank you for making it. Really good stuff. I mean, my show's The Growth Show, so it's all about people growing and making it happen. And, clearly, with all I just mentioned, you've been doing that. And if you won an Emmy Award, you definitely were doing something. And you've also been successful in a number of businesses. So, a lot of respect there, because I know it's not easy. We were talking about this a little bit. Everyone makes entrepreneurship seem like so easy and vanity today and cool and sexy. And I guess it can be after you kick ass and big, but in the beginning, getting started, it's a lot of challenges. And even if you're a seasoned pro, like the unexpected can happen and cause a lot of disruption, in your companies. And there's definitely times of challenges. So, love to kind of hear about you. Like, how'd you kind of get started? What was your path to entrepreneurship? And really want to hear about your new company, Rise. I'd also love to hear about your past wins, and definitely want to hear about you winning an Emmy Award and how that happened. So a lot of fun stuff to unpack today.
Yeah, I'll start by just echoing something. I really think of growth as, you can think of it within a specific business and get in the weeds on that. But when I think about that, it's about the never-ending growth of entrepreneurship. And I think of it like an instrument. When people they're like, oh, it's going to take me so many years to get good at playing the piano. I'm already 42. And it's like, well, if you start playing today, you could be playing piano for the next 50 years of your life. And I think for me, I just happen to have been the type of person that started at 15 years old and just had that drive within me. It just excited me to try and make little deals, like, and try to get more allowance money, or try to go out and knock on people's doors to mow their lawns or things like that. And I think that the growth has just sort of been a never giving up type of growth, because things have been incredibly difficult and also incredibly fun and rewarding at different points during the journey. So happy to chat about all those things quickly, for sure.
Nice. I always loved, I feel like the best entrepreneurs all were doing something in elementary school, middle school, high school. Like, there was always some sort of side hustle before that was, a word. Like, I just want to say that we were the original side hustlers, and there wasn't the internet,
you had to do it in real life.
You had to shovel snow, or I sold airheads and blow pops at school and got in trouble. I mean, I used to take all the stuff in my house and, paint the sign, tag sale, and my mom let me sell all the crap we weren't using and keep the money. And I helped her just clean up the house. But it was like, and I was like so excited to do that stuff and to like make money and be able to go buy a pair of Nikes because I love my mom, but single mom, and she wasn't buying me a pair of Nikes. So like it was I don't know, all that stuff. I mean, I couldn't wait to do it. And I don't know if you remember this thing growing up. I don't know if you had it where you could like it was like a catalog and you could go door to door and like sell stuff, and then like you could get like points, and then you could like get things like a bicycle or like different
Prizes,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, do you remember
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
Yeah, fundraisers was the core of that in my childhood. If you go out
Okay.
and sell enough stuff, then in the little catalog, then you can get prizes. And it was something that the parents would come with you, because we were like really, really young at that point in time. I think like middle school.
Yeah, I was my mom was working, so I don't even know if she knew I was doing it actually.
That you were
And
out there. That's awesome.
yeah, yeah, I was out there, hustling. Now that probably breaks like 20 child labor laws, like going and working,
Yeah.
selling these things, and then winning a prize. But it's just
I
it's just funny, like the
literally
people.
I literally worked in the gutter, and I mean this. I took a red flyer wagon and a shovel, and I was kind of like a nerd, so I took orange street cones too. I rolled the wagon down the street, and in our neighborhood, the gutter would fill up with like mud and dirt and grass, and so when it rained, like the water wouldn't flow down very well. And I literally went and knocked on people's doors and was like, I will clean out your gutters for $5. And I literally shoveled dirt out of the gutter into a red flyer wagon and hauled it away at people's
Wow,
houses for $5 when I was a kid. I mean, straight from the actual gutter to now, it's been like a crazy and
that's good stuff.
nonstop journey.
No, I
And
love
I'll
it.
say this, Joe, I was in Manhattan just last week walking down the street with one of my team members, and all these jewelers were out hustling, like trying to sell us jewelry. And my buddy looks at him and goes, "We're not here buying, we're selling, and we're on our way to a meeting." And I was like, the hustle never stops, does it? It's all about
That's great.
it's all about
That's
which
great.
side of
I
the
love
deal
it.
you're on.
That's exactly right. No, it's good stuff. I love it. That's awesome. So, yeah, I guess what was the first company that like sold, like scaled and exited from?
Yeah, good. That's a really good question. The first very noteworthy thing that I created or was involved in, I was a co-founder of this organization called House of Genius, and it really is a genius concept, and I credit that not to just myself. A few of us came up with this idea, but we created a very novel event format for solving problems for entrepreneurs or businesses. And to not bore you with the entire explanation of how all that works, essentially, it was an event where people would come into a room, about 20 people, and we had some very novel characteristics you had to apply to come to the event. It had to be approved. We curated it such that people were very diverse in their skill sets and their backgrounds and their expertise, and nobody knew who anyone was in the room, and you're not allowed to talk about what you do or what your background is, and you can only go by your first name when you walk into the room. So any of the conversation was based completely on the merit of what people's ideas were and what other people were saying, without any ego or anything like that. And so the businesses were able to present the problem or opportunity they were having to the room, and then we curated and moderated that in such a way, and the format was very unique in the way that we carried it out, but it always produced an amazing result. We hosted that event one time in Boulder, Colorado in 2010, and people loved it. And by 2013, that event was in probably 20 to 30 cities globally happening. We were getting involved with the White House, the UN, entrepreneurial communities all over the world. There were people
Wow.
doing this in different languages. And it was a very fast and exciting thing that happened. And so that's what the organization was. And if you'd like, I could tell you what happened.
Sure, sure. Please do.
Well, I was 22 years old, traveling the world, going to all these locations and working with the most inspiring like entrepreneurs and people in all these different cities. And it was very, very cool, very overwhelming, very great experience. But this is a really one of the harder learning lessons along the way is that choosing the people you work with is very important. And at this time, one of the people that shall remain nameless, I really believed in and trusted and thought, that I thought very highly of their opinion, but a lot of their ideas and a lot of the direction that they wanted to go, and by way of their influence, just totally disagreed with me and what I thought we should be doing. And I think I was very much undermined as a pretty young person at that time, working with people who were older and more, successful or what have you. And I lost my footing in the organization. I lost my credibility. And I also did not believe in the direction that it was going to go. And I had been investing my own money and these things into it. And I think in, around 5 years of my life into it. I had some other things going at the same time, but I walked away from that, Joe, with nothing, absolutely nothing to show for it. No money, no credit, nothing, really just a good story. And that really changed my life. It was a really interesting wake up call.
Wow.
So
And where did that where did that lead you to after that? Like what happened next?
I had sort of a wake up call, and personally, where I really, for the first time in my life, thought, well, what do I want to do now? And I just knew that I wanted to live at the beach because I was in Colorado and it was cold and I don't like the winter. And I wanted to sip a coffee like while I could see the ocean, and I don't know what, just come up with ideas like how can I get into like videos and filmmaking and music stuff, and really no clarity other than just that. And so I just gave myself the opportunity, and I just packed up and moved to California, and found myself sitting on the the balcony there having a coffee. I don't know how much longer, maybe within 6 months.
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah.
And when did so that's pretty interesting. Like what and then when did that lead you to like when did you found like what came after that? Like what was the next company that lead you into film? Like what was the
Yeah.
path to like your film award and then your current business rise, now?
Yeah, all of that is sort of a chapter in and of itself, and it started with the filmmaking stuff. I just thought, how cool would it be to be in LA and do film stuff, work with musicians and brands and cool people, and being very contrarian to what I had just come from. I thought, I really want to see some of my ideas come to fruition this time, and I want them. And I made a rule, Joe. I said, this time, no matter what I do, it's going to be fun. And if it's not fun, I'm not going to do it. And so we started coming up with all these. And by the way, I had never shot a video in my life. I still to this day have very, very minimal experience shooting video. But I think in the lesson in that is I've surrounded myself with people who are very talented at the actual shooting and the editing and those types of things. And I was really good at putting together the vision, the opportunity, making the calls, making the presentations to get things done. And fast forward a little bit, we ended up shooting content for some really big brands like Live Nation, Daimler Benz had a car share company that we pitched an idea. Again, our idea, my ideas. We pitched this company on pay us to travel all around North America like crazy adventurers, just having fun, showcasing all the fun stuff that you could do in range of using these cars. And yeah, they cut us a check, and for 2 months, my buddy and I went everywhere filming ourselves skydiving and whitewater rafting and going down ice luges and riding horses and whatever you could imagine, going to concerts, and they paid us for that. And it was the total validation moment where I was like, this is everything that I thought I could do, and I did it. And so that kind of birthed the production company, and we started doing branded content for different companies. We started shooting live sessions with musicians and concert stuff, and it just became so much fun. And we ended up making a movie totally
Wow.
by a wild hair of an idea that I had when I was drinking coffee one day.
Why do you love, being an entrepreneur?
Everything I just told you. It's like, for me, and look, everybody's different. And I think something you said earlier is like the vanity of it, I think it misguides people because it brings people into it that maybe aren't a good fit for it, because they think, oh, this is just going to be like this fun, sexy thing. I'm going to make a bunch of money and I'm going to be the boss and whatever. And it's really not about that. And I think there's certain people that are really great and it's cut out for them, and there's people that aren't. And so that allure, I think, could be misguided at times. And so I'm telling you like some highlight reels. I'm glad I told you a sad story too, but it just it gets me alive. Like I probably see just in this conversation, I'm way more excited than I was when we first started chatting, because this fuels me and I really
Yeah,
enjoy it.
absolutely.
And I think that I have gone from being very overconfident and like, I'm just going to make a bunch of money and I'm just going to kill it, to every day it's like, yeah, I'm just sort of like a student in this process, figuring out like what's the next problem that is going to be solved. And I just enjoy that. So it's fun for me.
Good stuff. No, same here. And what two questions that go together? Like, what's been your biggest challenge, and what do you think your biggest success has been out of all your ventures?
The biggest challenge has been just not ever giving up when things are not going the way that you think they are going to go. And I've had moments, especially making that film, where we've just put in everything into it, our money, I said that first for a reason, because that's sometimes the most painful,
Mm.
our time and energy and effort. And something that really, um, people don't respect a lot is that when you're starting out and you're an entrepreneur, and even if you've been at it for a while, it's like a never ending supply of like, get out there and knock on people's doors and try to make things happen. And you're constantly trying to have to sell yourself. Why you versus anyone else in the world should I work with? And it's exhausting. And I think the biggest challenge is just like when you reach the end where you're just like, man, I'm burnt. You just got to just get up one more time and keep doing it until you get a little win. And you're like, oh yeah, that's why I do this. So that's just never stopping has been one of the greatest challenges, I think, you know?
Yeah, probably, and challenges and successes, and what do you think? What's been the biggest success, to you out of all the ventures that you've been a part of?
I'm not saying this lightly or for show. Um, Being able to help the people around me, and not just financially, but to see the people that I work with, both customers and team members and even friends and people that I consult with. It's so freaking cool to see these people get better, get more excited, like advance in what they're doing, get better at their skills, and have that shared experience. That's probably my absolute favorite thing, is just seeing those other people. And then for me personally, to give you like another thing that we had chatted before the show, when I was really about 17, my friend who's since passed away invited me to come live in Hawaii with him and his family, on Oahu. And the moment that I got there, I fell in love with it. And I always wanted to, um, own a property. And it took a long time for me to get to a place because I had nothing back then. And so I was able to, use entrepreneurship to buy a dream property that is like my happy place. And so um, I am grateful every day for like walking around out there and just being like, man, like this is cool. Like I deserve this. Like it took a long time to get to this point. So that's been a highlight for me recently is
Awesome.
really soaking that in. Yeah.
Very cool, man. Love it. Really good stuff. And tell me about Rise. I'm curious to kind of hear about like this automated marketing platform.
Rise is cool. It's something that was born out of a problem that we discovered when we were doing production, video production. A lot of people would spend a lot of money on videos and then publish them and then not really get anyone to see it. And they would way over invest in the creation of the content and under invest in audience development and advertising. So a lot of people came to us to say, how can we promote this? And at first we were like, I have no idea. We don't do that. And I said, well, we should. And through our connections in music and working with artists, we started to find out that there's a gap in people's either education or abilities, skills to advertise and use digital platforms like Google Ads or Facebook Ads Manager or TikTok Ads Manager, those types of things, and or the time. So we learned that if we could help people spend more time focusing on creating music or working on their podcast or whatever, and we could provide a platform that would allow them to, in a couple of quick minutes without any advanced skills or advertising expertise, be able to create campaigns on the fly like that, we would have something. And that's exactly what we built and are still building today. And it's doing very well.
That's really cool. I could definitely see a big need for that. I mean, a lot of people make the content and they just don't really understand at all, like how to, how to build the audience. I mean, it's really the hardest part of it all. Doing the content's not easy, but it probably is the easier part, when you really break it all down.
Yeah, and that's what people are good at. It's like, hey, they're passionate about making music or making their show or whatever, and they're probably not very passionate about TikTok Ads Manager. How do I get my clip
Yeah.
out there? And so that's where the platform comes in and makes it really easy for people to promote that type of stuff. Really low entry budgets ranging from $50 a campaign to $250 minimums, and then people can sort of decide what they want to spend. We always offer a guaranteed range of results based on the spend, and we have a lot of sort of internal data technology and also human expertise that makes those campaigns succeed and become very reliable for people.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So what's next for you on your what's the future look like for you as an entrepreneur? What's on your roadmap?
I've
Any
got
films in the
two.
works?
I've got. We are exploring. We are exploring a new film. I can't say a lot about it right now. It would be a docu-series about something really fascinating that is a total left turn from music or entertainment and the stuff I've been involved in. So I will just
Love the
tease that.
suspense.
Yeah. It's about something magical is the best way I could say.
Okay.
But other than that, I think I'm into a chapter of two things. Number one, I am wanting to take some time to teach people things, really share insights, lessons. And it's funny because in my mind, I'm like, don't people have this covered? There's a lot of people out there that share this stuff, and you think it's like the information that you need is available, but you'd be so surprised that you share something that you think is common sense or is a simple thing or it's already exists out there and people are like, oh my gosh, I needed to hear that today. So I'm starting to catch the bug a little bit on that. And so that's something I'm focusing on. And then also I'm just looking more just on the nerdy side, mergers and acquisitions, investments, bundling things up. I'm becoming a student of that type of stuff, which admittedly I don't have a lot of experience with yet. So I am surrounding myself with people that are good at these types of things and getting my hands dirty yet again.
Good stuff. Well, that's I love that stuff, and that's the stuff that we've finance. So, if you ever have a question about financing a deal or something like that, always happy to
Oh,
help.
absolutely. And I'm glad we got connected through this show because I might actually have something for you sooner than later.
Good stuff. Lot of opportunities out there, and there's also a lot of, I don't know what type of companies you're looking at, but there's a lot of baby boomer businesses, that people are looking to kind of exit. The kids don't want to take it over. They don't really set up to
Yep.
sell, and so there's a lot of cool opportunities if you're willing to kind of put the work in and put things together. So it's an exciting time. I mean, there's like
Yeah,
young
absolutely. I've been
people,
hearing about
amazing.
some of these
Yeah,
things.
yeah, it's wild. So really cool stuff.
It's a
So I
it's
always
always a good time to play the game of business Legos.
it's always a good time, and in these crazy markets, it's usually some of the better times, and some of the best businesses are built in these times. The big companies start to get all cut up in their valuations and all these different things in the market, and they're just so big and cuts, and the little nimble companies are head down working,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
there's always
making it
deals out
happen.
there, and yeah, and some of the biggest companies today, like Uber, was started in the middle of a 08, 09, that recession. So and that's
Absolutely.
like a big example, but there's so many other examples of companies that were some of the greatest started in a recession.
Of course,
So
yeah. It pays to be active.
you have to be active, man. There's only one way, and you have to keep growing, right? So it doesn't, the growth doesn't
100%.
end. Nice, good stuff.
You
So
right.
what what's a one growth? We always like to wrap up with like what's one growth tip that you would share with fellow entrepreneurs, watching the show?
I would say this. If you are looking to grow, a good way to do that, one way to do that is to sell something that your customer is going to want already. And so what I mean by that is if you ask a kid if they want candy, what do you think their answer is going to be? The answer
Yes.
is yes. If you want to grow, I would make sure your product is something that if you ask your customer, you shouldn't have to ask your customer if they want that, and you shouldn't have to sell them on wanting or needing that. I think that the way that we have been able to grow is to say, "Hey, Joe, would you like to have more subscribers on your podcast?
Yeah, and the answer is going to be yes.
We can do that for you at Rise." And so that's I think understanding the customer in that way to have something that they can't say no to, they would never say no to, and therefore all you need to do is make a nice product, make it actually work, and the rest becomes very rinse and repeat, and therefore something you can grow.
Yeah, well said. I mean, it's all about bringing, a need, and filling a void, that's out there. So definitely agree with that. How do folks watching learn more about Rise? Because I think that's really cool what you're doing there. And how do they, find and follow you?
I think the best place to look up anything at Rise Included about me is my personal website, which is just my name, Tim .la, as in Los Angeles. Just the personal website has links to all that
Nice,
stuff, Rise Included, and that's where people can reach out to me as well.
good stuff. I love that Tim.la. That's an awesome domain. I can't believe that you were able to get that. Really great stuff.
Just don't tell them I don't live there anymore, but it is it's
You
easy to
need you
remember.
need Tim dot Hawaii.
Yeah. Hey, I might look into that.
Good stuff. Well, it was really a really pleasure to have you on the show today, Tim. Love that it all started back, when you were a teenager and you kept that going, and you've done some really cool, things. So thanks for sharing, and appreciate you being on the show. Keep doing what you're doing and keep growing.
All right, Joe, it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much for your time and having me on. It's been awesome.
Yeah, same to you, brother. Be well.